hair metal, and people forget this, it's easy to gloss over, hair metal was huge at that point, and it's one of the few noticeable paradigm shifts in music.
Yeah, things like flipped like day and night, and so you had a hair metal band, and they had these really soft features and like fluffy hair, and
like Chris Cornell.
Well,
great metal voice.
I love Krist, but you know, the Soundgarden wasn't like a hair metal band, okay? And then so they had these like soft physical features, but they had this macho bravado, right? And so then like grunge rock came out, then we had like facial hair and these kind of like flannel shirts, but we had a feminine sensibility.
Well, yeah, you had cardigans.
Yeah.
And Converse.
That's right.
Yeah, no motorcycle boots. So were you always into politics, even back then?
I think so. You know, I voted for president the first time was in 1984. I voted for Walter Mondale.
Yeah, Fritz.
Yeah, in a Union Hall in Aberdeen, there's this huge painting of Lyndon Johnson on the wall.
Wow,
I remember
and
that.
that's not campaign paraphernalia. That's interesting. So you and I were actually on a spoken word tour in 1999 when you were talking about proportional representation, and that was the first time that I had heard that term. And now you're the chairperson for Fair Vote. So tell me, does Fair Vote still rely on proportional representation, and can you explain what that is to people who have not heard?
Proportional representation is where you have a shared representation, where you don't have the single member district, that these elites make the maps, they decide who's a Republican and who's a Democrat, and then they skew the districts to benefit themselves. With proportional representation, you could vote for like 3 people, right? And depend on what kind of system you're using. And then the voters decide who gets elected. And so there would be, most districts would have like 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat, or 2 Democrats and 1 Republican. If in a 3-seat district, you had a 5-seat district or whatever. You know, they have these systems in Europe, okay? But European proportional representation is party-based. And they have really low thresholds. It takes like 2% of the vote to get elected. In the United States, we have proportional representation here that's legal and established, but there are higher thresholds to get elected, 20%, maybe 15, 25%. It depends on what system you're using, and they're candidate-based, because Americans like to vote for the candidate, not necessarily the party.
Well, and certainly this election cycle shows that. Lawrence Lessig, who's also interested in proportional representation, and he has laid that out as part of his campaign strategy. He's the Harvard law professor. He likes this. He's not getting a huge amount of the vote, but certainly it shows how outsiders and non-traditional politicos are changing the culture right now.
Well, part of his platform is political equality, okay? So if you want political equality, you need to put power in the hands of the voters. And so what he's supporting is Fair Vote's Ranked Choice Voting Act. Okay, so it's this voting system which I just described. And it puts power in the hands of the voters to elect people. And so you have urban Republicans, you have rural Democrats, and you have space for third party and independents.
When I hear fair, I get worried because I think of Bernie Sanders.
Oh.
And I think if Bernie Sanders is elected, I wonder, will we have pumpkin spice lattes?
I think if Bernie Sanders gets elected, we might have Sanka.
That's not good. That's not a choice.
But that's his charm. That's his charm. He's like the uncle who drinks Sanka. Okay? And, you know, Bernie Sanders is cool. I'm concerned about the position he takes on Citizens United versus FEC.
Liberals love Citizens United. Where are they wrong?
Well, first of all, it's a very cynical title, and you have like someone like Bernie Sanders stands in front of a crowd of 14,000 people, and he wants to repeal, he's disparaging the term Citizens United. The last I checked, Citizens United coming together, small c, small u, is a good thing, okay? Second, if you bother to read the legislation and just not listen to what people tell you, or not the legislation, the ruling, the decision, you'll see that Citizens United was really good for transparency.
And
elections.
Good for free speech.
Free speech, yeah. You could. So if we repeal Citizens United, then you have a film like Hillary the movie or Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11. You couldn't show it on YouTube in a certain period before an election. Yeah.
Okay. Back to the band for a little bit. We've only got a couple seconds left. Do you still have dreams about Kurt?
I do. And it's beautiful. It's just loving. You know when you lose somebody and you see him in a dream and you just feel all this love?
Yeah.